The topic I've chosen for today is infrastructure challenges in India and the way forward. India's economy is growing rapidly and its population is increasing at an extraordinary rate. India's vast infrastructure needs are expanding at all times and it represents a great opportunity. Decades of underinvestment have left the country with dire deficits in areas such as railways, ports, roads, airports, telecommunications, and electricity generation. What are the main problems here? Increase in individual income levels leads to an increase in the demand for housing, retail, and commercial infrastructure in the country. India will have to spend trillions of rupees for the modernization and expansion of water, electricity, and transportation systems in order to achieve a developed nation's crown. In India, only 31% of the population used improved sanitation, and only 88% of the population have access to drinking water. India will face a $526 billion infrastructure gap by 2040, according to a latest survey. In the World Economic Forum's Global Competitiveness Report for 2011 and 12, India was ranked 89th out of 142 countries for its infrastructure. Let me take you through some specific issues. Power. There are several manufacturing companies which do not get sufficient power and operate on generators which cost around 2.5 times the state's charge, thereby becoming less competitive in the market, producing less number of products, paying lower taxes, and employing less number of people. The government has set ambitious goals of wind, solar, and nuclear energy, all of which would need supplements from coal and gas. Transportation infrastructure. It takes an enormous amount of time to travel or transport goods from one place to another. Neither the quality nor the quantity of railways and roadways is at par with the growing demand. Also, the traffic conditions hinder productivity and waste time. Our port infrastructure is far inferior and less efficient. Privatization. It has worked well for some sectors, but clearly not for some. For example, power production is open to the private sector, but the power distribution is still in the hands of the government for some states. There are huge losses in transmission and there is electricity theft, and the government is not able to pay back the power manufacturers on time. What could be some of the reasons? There is a massive migration to cities like Mumbai and New Delhi. All of these place stress on urban infrastructures like roads, water supply, and the electricity system. The main reasons behind the infrastructure investment shortfall is the collapse of the public-private partnerships and stressed balance sheets of private companies and problems with land and forest clearances. India's difficult business environment has sapped the enthusiasm of foreign investors. The main problems are unpredictable regulations, bureaucratic delays in approving projects, and above all, corruption. Global trade is placing acute pressure on India's inefficient ports, and rapid industrialization is intensifying the strain on the nation's unreliable networks of electricity and water. What measures should we take? Firstly, we need to set up an independent regulatory body like SEBI for infrastructure. The primary role of this body would be to attract private investments and protect the investor from risks. Secondly, we need to have an authority which should take care of the sovereign obstacles. The basic role of this body will be to remove the obstacles for public projects and monitor the development of the project. A better level of corporate governance is essential for infrastructure businesses given the scale of investments, the lack of alternative uses of assets once created, and the urgent need to develop such assets. Whether publicly listed or not, the overall corporate governance standards need to improve to create a more robust ecosystem. The way forward for India is to create requisite infrastructure, both in respect to quality and quantity, by looking at the entire supply chain and bringing in the participation of the private sector to work in collaboration with the government. The investment infrastructure gaps need to be filled by private investments and NIIB, along with global institutions such as AIIB and the New Development Bank. Developing nations like India need to seek huge foreign investment and huge debt from abroad to build our infrastructure, then make ourselves more productive and compete on a global scale, sell more and pay back those loans. The new public-private partnership model has a lot of potential to carry out various infrastructure projects and provide better infrastructure for each sector. Success of stories like Gujarat Solar Innovative Project and Delhi Metro Rail Project showcase the power of PPP. India has done well to get to the current orbit, but for us to move to the next orbit, we need good leadership. For us to bring prosperity to the vast majority of Indians and to enjoy inclusive growth, we will have to enhance our governance system, enhance our transparency and accountability, combat corruption, and enhance our infrastructure.